An oil field in the Celtic Sea may produce enough oil to make the country self-sufficient in crude or even turn Ireland into an exporter of the commodity. Joining me to discuss this further is Mike Schussler, Economist and Director at economist.co.za. Hello Mike. Development of the Barryroe field could reportedly make as much as 280 million recoverable barrels of oil. How do you think this will help the Irish economy, especially as it recovers from a recession?
Well, I think first of all they're going to need quite a bit of investment to get to the oil, and that in itself will help the Irish economy, obviously, because it's going to mean that more people they come to Ireland to weld and to put together pipelines and the like. And it's probably going to take in excess of $5 billion to get the oil recoverable. The one thing is, however, is I'm not quite sure what the timeline is going to be for that investment, but it does seem likely that it's going to start next year in 2013. But I think the full scale of the investment and the first production of oil is probably only in 2015, 2016. And in that, the run-up to that, it's certainly going to help the construction industry and the civil engineering industry in Ireland, rather than, say, the manufacturing industry, as many of the things in the oil market will probably be imported from current oil manufacturing firms in the UK or in the USA or Norway.
And how realistic is Irish oil company Providence Resources PLC's view Ireland could become an exporter of oil?
I think that's one of the claims that's maybe overdone. According to the BP Statistical Review of World Energy, Ireland consumes 142 barrels of oil a day, and it's likely to rise in the next 4 years to, say, 150 barrels of oil a day. And the production of Barryroe is only going to reach a peak, perhaps reach a peak of 100,000 barrels a day. And that's probably still 5 or 6 years away. So I think it will help Ireland. It will help Ireland with its current account because it won't have to import as much oil. It will probably help Ireland in gaining some jobs, and it will probably be a great revenue source for the government, but it will not make Ireland at this moment in time an exporter in the oil market unless one finds a lot more fields like Barryroe, because one must also remember that 100,000 barrels a day, it will take some time to reach there, but you're probably looking at about 7.5, 8 years of production only if you go that tempo. But probably to get there, and the more oil that you might find along the way, you're probably looking at an oil field lasting only about a decade or so.
The production of oil in Ireland will require investment, especially as platforms will need it to be built. Do you think the Irish government will help with such investments?
I'm not sure if the Irish government will help, but they'll certainly give tax breaks as they have done before to other companies, and I think also the type of thing that these guys are going to provide in the longer run to the Irish government might make the Irish government a bit more susceptible to giving some form of help to the oil producers. But I think the Irish government is at this moment in time still busy with an austerity drive. So this will be viewed more as income. They might get tax breaks rather than produce money for that investment. But there is help at hand in different ways. That the one gas field's pipelines are apparently only about 3 to 4 kilometers away from where the first of these oil fields will start. And therefore, some of the investment is already actually in the Irish Sea as such.
If Ireland does become an exporter of oil, what are the advantages for the oil market?
Well, as I said before, Ireland would probably need to find another 280 million recoverable barrels of oil so that it could double that production to become an exporter. But I think even if it doesn't become an exporter of oil, it's certainly going to help keep the oil price a bit lower than it otherwise would have been. Because I think if you look at 100,000 barrels of oil, that's probably the sort of growth that the European OECD countries see in oil needed every year. So certainly I think the fact of the matter is that some of the supply coming out of Europe will take some of the stresses away from the Middle Eastern supply at this moment in time. And therefore I think that oil prices will probably fall back down to the $80 to $100 a barrel once the political tension in the Middle East has calmed down somewhat.
Thanks for joining me, Mike. Well, that's all we've got time for right now. Stay tuned to Dukascopy TV for more updates and interviews. For now, though, goodbye.